Hello and welcome to the 27 presented by The Critic. We are the world's first and only student-teacher podcast on the MCU, where today we start to explore our friend Loki, the orphan of Jotunheim, the child of frost giants, and brother of Thor, right? Very complicated but beloved figure in the MCU. And here to talk with us about Loki is Rachael. Rachael, welcome back and back and back and back and back. Just really looking for the permanent co-host gig at this point, Rachael.
Yeah, but once I graduate, you better invite me back here for
Well, you will always be welcome. Now, actually looking ahead, have you signed up for more episodes beyond this one for this season?
I have the last 2 Loki episodes.
So that'll be in 2 weeks when we wrap up, right? We do 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, 6.
I think I was looking at other ones, but I didn't sign up for anyone else.
We're just talking about trying to fit in What If. We haven't, that's not on the schedule yet, but What If, I've really enjoyed watching it, so I feel like it's one I want to talk about. We could potentially maybe even do just like one-off, like you don't have to talk about the whole season per se, you could just kind of cherry pick some of the episodes. Do you like What If?
I do.
Yeah, it's really well done. I definitely like those. I remember those comics when I was a kid too, the whole What If thing, and that kind of speculative fiction is always kind of an interesting one. Okay, so we're here to talk about Loki.
Yeah.
Okay? We've seen Loki many, many, many times before. Probably, in my opinion, the number one most favorite villain from the conversations we've had here between seasons 1 and season 2. Tom Hiddleston. Yes, I want to say Middleston, but that's not right. Hiddleston. I think just even his performance makes people like Loki.
Yeah.
He's charming. He's got that British accent. He's got great hair. He's, he pulls it all together. He does a good job with that. So then you tell us, a self-described Loki stan, what is it about Loki? Why do you love him so much?
He's perfect to me. He's perfect. His crimes, it's fine.
You're just making excuses for him?
It's not that bad. It's not that bad.
We're just excusing crime and deception and all these terrible things?
Yeah.
What I like about Loki is that, every time he says something, you don't know if he's telling the truth. Like, if he honestly believes that. When he's in these episodes, when he's talking about, when he's talking to the variant and he's like, oh, I went undercover. Is he really undercover? Or is he just trying to, do what he needs to do in order to get out of the capture of the TVA? I think that's what, literally, that's what I realized. Every single time he talks, you don't know if he's telling the truth or not. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
No, he does tell the truth sometimes.
But he lies so much that can you actually tell?
I feel like, yes, you can tell when he's lying sometimes, but, he's gotten really good at it, so.
I mean, it's literally who he is. He describes himself as, as such, kind of this, prince of deception. And
that's okay.
I have the question, can he be honest? Mobius, who we meet in this episode, shout out Owen Wilson, fantastic actor appearing in many things. He plays Agent Mobius. He asks him to be honest. Can Loki be honest? Is it in his personal being?
He was honest in episode 1.
When was he honest in episode 1? Tell us about that.
When he said he doesn't like killing people. He does it because he has to and he had to, not because he wants to. He
likes doing all the things that build up to eventually having to kill someone because he's in too deep, essentially. Mm-hmm. But he's I would never stab anyone in the back. He's like, I know your file. You've stabbed over 50 people in the back. But, I guess you're right, that he's not a, Thanos-type cold-blooded murderer, looking to just kill people right away. But at the end of the day, it's all these little small deeds turn into big deeds, I guess we could say.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a little. Here's a question for you. You have to pick one.
Okay.
Loki or Bucky?
No.
No, I'm making you do it.
No.
I'm making you do it.
No.
Then we're going to have to cut this episode short, and you're going to have to leave the room
I'm not
right
choosing.
now. Because you have been on both of these things. I mean, from my opinion of what you might think, I don't know if anyone has ever loved anyone as much as you love Bucky Barnes. So he might end up.
Someone out there might.
Maybe we could say someone might love him as much as you, but not more than you.
Yeah.
Well, we are with Loki here. We start at the end of the Avengers, right? That's kind of where we are, where he's kind of been, taken prisoner. But then that's where, the story goes, that like we then enter this totally different story, like what doesn't happen at the end of Avengers, which because of the anger of the Hulk smashing a wall, the distracted nature of what's happening in the lobby of the Stark Tower there, Loki gets his hands on the Tesseract once again, and then he's able to transport himself there. Like when he ends up in the Gobi Desert, I believe, he's able. He has that own power. Just to clarify, like he can travel to places.
I don't think he can teleport.
Did he use the Tesseract to do that?
He used the Tesseract to do it.
Gotcha. So that Tesseract. That might be one of the the number one things in the MCU. Obviously being one of the Infinity Stones, but also like it seems so important in many different places. And Loki loves that darn thing. He ends up in the Gobi Desert where he is then apprehended by the Time Variance Authority, the TVA. He ends up in their possession. And what I liked in this first episode is just the absurdity of his trials going through the processing of it. Talk to us a little bit about that. We have when he's, he's asked to sign everything he said. He goes through the organic detector. He's asked to take a ticket. Tell us about, what do you think about Loki in the TVA?
I actually thought it was really funny when he had to go through the detector. He's like, what if I am a robot?
And haven't we all thought about that ourselves from time to time?
I haven't.
Oh, sorry. It's just me. But yeah, what if I am a robot? And he worries that he will. Basically, he's like the detector, the worker at her is just like, oh, he's just
keep going. He's like, I don't care if you melt.
I love like all the attitudes of the people working in TV are just like, shut up and do what we tell you. Which really... That's a really good point, by the way, that like at the end of the day, a job's a job. They don't want to be there. But I feel like Loki needs a little bit of this treatment sometimes. He gets a little too full of himself. Needs to be, shut up and do what we tell you to do, Loki. You disagree? No. Because you love him. I get it. We like Loki here. Now, the Timekeepers essentially control... What is it? The sacred timeline, right? Which has been put together. This is like very reminiscent of like the creation. This made me think of the creation of the Infinity Stones, like kind of just the multiverse in general, that these timekeepers have pulled all these various timelines together to concentrate them into one sacred timeline. And then the TVA works to make sure that timeline is not disrupted. That is how we end up. Loki should not be disappearing with the Tesseract. He should have been taken into custody. So when he does that, he has this kind of branch off. But one of the things they talk about is that the Timekeepers control essentially this timeline and keep us on our predetermined path. Loki was supposed to be arrested that day, right? This reminded me of some philosophy classes I had taken in college, and the philosophy of Calvinism. I can't remember Calvin's first name. Maybe John. Predestination starts at the beginning of time. That essentially God selected a limited number of people who will reach salvation. Everyone else, there's nothing you can do to change where you're going. This can make people feel helpless. Like no matter what I do, I'm still going to end up wherever I was predetermined to be. But this is what the TVA believes. Rachel, do you believe in our life here? Predetermination or predestination. Can we change where we're going in the future?
We can change it.
How do we do that?
I told you I was coming here. I could have just not shown up.
No, it was you were predetermined to be here. Even last year, look how many of these episodes you've been on. You were just waiting for an opportunity to be given the chance to talk about the MCU in a one-on-one interview type format, and here we are. But you're saying you had the free will to not come here.
You have the free will to do it. You just choose not to.
But the TVA disagrees. Everything is predetermined. If you stray off that predetermined... So, for example, if you maybe walked out today, that might have been a violation of the TVA. They might have come and they might have pulled you into their... you would have become a variant. You would have been taken into their custody. Talked about Owen Wilson. I love it. I love just a couple of things here. Oh, sorry. Here's a question. Where were the Timekeepers in No Way Home? Like, if No Way Home is all about, like, the whole multiverse gets created because they're trying to make people... Doctor Strange is trying to get people to forget Peter Parker.
Well, and it's what was supposed to happen.
So that's the create, but it throws off the sacred timeline, does it not? Or is that the sacred? I don't know.
I guess that's just
the sacred timeline can be broken into multiple timelines. That seems contradictory.
Well, I mean, well, in the end, it kind of went back to normal. All the other timelines got put back to their place.
Yeah. True.
So then I think the end goal was just everyone forgetting who Spider-Man was, who Peter Parker was.
Well, I'm just going out on a limb here. This is my bold prediction. You've seen all of Loki?
I have.
So don't tell me if I'm wrong. We'll see. But my thought right now is that the timekeepers do not exist. This is all some type of ruse. They're like the man behind the curtain. They're like Oz, right? The great and powerful Oz is just one man behind a curtain throwing himself off. There seems to be a lot of mystery around it. Loki wants to see them. They seem to just be these like statues that are kind of shown here. So yeah, that's my opinion.
All right.
Am I totally insane?
What episode are you on?
Just 2. I've only watched
just
the first 2.
All right.
I thought of that in the second one. Loki wants to see them so bad, and then Mobius, the woman who's like the judge, who Mobius keeps checking back in with. Yes, she even has some like. She's very shady when it comes to the existence of the timekeepers. That she's like, oh yeah, no, they're very busy. They're like keeping the sacred timeline together. Yep. So yeah, that's my bold prediction going forward. Could be right, could be wrong.
Wait and see.
I will wait and see as we move through Loki. I like that the presence of the Infinity Stones, which essentially people in the TVA use as paperweights, like these amazing things that control the universe. And if you get these things, you are essentially the master of the universe, and you can snap people away. They're just like there, and that's what convinces him that like this is a real thing. That like the control of this timeline or just the nature of the TVA is a real thing. Yeah, just about. Yeah. Sounds about right.
You see the little moment on his face where it's just like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like everything, like all these stones, they're made out to be so precious, and then you can just grab a handful here.
They're just sitting there. It definitely throws off his whole thing, especially as we mentioned earlier, his love of the Tesseract. Like his desire to always have this thing. Then we are introduced to the variant, right? At the end of this episode, essentially, Mobius convinces him to join the TVA, Loki that is, to hunt for this variant. And they want him because this variant has been going around killing TVA agents. And the variant that we're hunting is you. At that point, I wrote down in my notes, Rachel, am I about to be confused for the next 5 episodes? Like, what are you talking about here? So how does this work again? How is Loki the variant? I know we'll talk about it. We end up meeting this woman at the end of episode 2, but how is Loki the variant? What does this mean?
What do you mean? What does it mean?
What does it mean? He's Loki. I see Loki. There are many Lokis.
Yeah, they showed so there are multiple Lokis throughout like the different timelines, each with like either small or like big differences to them. So like one's like it kind of looked like an ogre, I think it looked like, or some sort of.
They're showing them all those little ones.
So there's that. You see other examples as you get further into the show.
Okay.
So.
And this woman is she does have like the horn, like the helmet, but she doesn't want to be called Loki.
Yeah, no. I guess it just kind of ties her to like the rest of them.
Yeah.
And she sees herself as better than them. And she kind of is if you think about it, because she's the only one who hasn't been caught.
Very true. And essentially we learned that she is using, and this again, sometimes just my brain doesn't work. She's using apocalypse events to hide out. Essentially that when the apocalypse is about to happen, and I like this trip they take to Pompeii as Vesuvius is about to erupt. They go to Alabama. I like that work that Loki and Mobius do to try to figure out where the next spot is, and they end up in this Walmart wannabe or ripoff called Roxcart in Alabama, and she's hiding there because when the apocalypse is about to come, it doesn't matter what you do because the world's going to end anyway. It's interesting to think about apocalypse events not as the world ending, but as thinking about like that group of people's lives are ending. Like Pompeii was not the end of the world; it was
just the end of their world.
It was the end of Pompeii. Vesuvius was not the end of the world; it was the end of their world. Which sometimes you don't think about. Like apocalypse, we think of the world ends, but this could just be groups of people, groups of people, their world ending. Mobius is talking with, I already forgot her name again. What's her name?
Sylvie.
Sylvie. And she has him sign something. The details are what always catch me with the show. I feel like I'm always trying to have an eagle eye to try to learn more. And the pen with which he signs the paper says Franklin D. Roosevelt High School. Do you know anything about this? Is this revealed later on?
I think it's the same high school. Yeah. You'll see it. You'll see it.
Because it's not a high school. Like, it's not like Peter Parker's high school.
You'll get to it later.
But we'll get a little bit more there. Poor Loki. Talk to me about his emotions in this. Because, I mean, he really kind of goes through it when you are clutching at your chest, clutching pearls almost. Talk to me about poor Loki.
When Mobius takes him into the room and like shows him the different events.
Yes.
And he gets so sad when he sees like his mother die and then like the destruction of his world and him fighting alongside Thor and then his own death. And he looks like he's like he doesn't cry, but he looks like he's about to cry. And it made me so sad.
Yeah.
Like I watched it again before this, so I had like renew the information.
It all came pouring out again, the emotion of it.
I watched it back when it came out. So I was like, oh, my poor baby.
I'm not going to feel bad for him when he sees his mother dying. He's responsible for that. He did that. Now, granted, he didn't do that. The variant who's watching it happen, it's the one who is in the MCU timeline, right? But at the end of the day, this is what you get when you are nothing but deceptive and duplicitous and wicked. Then maybe you watch your mother die.
Deserve to see it.
Then why not? This is how hard truths are. How we can change. Maybe he shouldn't be so bad. How does that sound? Maybe he can stop being wicked. Precious.
He's precious.
Puppies are precious. Babies are precious. Loki's not precious.
He's precious.
Negative. I'm going to disagree with that one.
I'm giving him pretty privilege.
Yeah. So does this all boil down to just how gorgeous Loki is? Is that really what we're talking about?
A little bit. But I don't really think he's like a villain, though. Like, he can be seen as a villain, but inside, he's like actually not a villain. He just does bad things because he wants something.
Yeah,
doesn't
that's
make
a
him.
bad
It doesn't make him a villain.
It does.
Thanos is a villain.
Which he was. You can apply that same description. He's doing what he wants for his reasons.
Yeah, but Thanos was a villain. Ultron was a villain. Loki.
He's a villain.
It's like, but you have to like remember he also kind of went through trauma in his past too.
To be fair, that is true. I described him as the orphan of Jotunheim up top, realizing that he's not.
His trauma just made him like a little bit like confused, bro. It's okay. It's okay.
Hey, trauma does different things different. I'm not gonna like feel bad. You're not gonna make me feel bad for him. So if Thanos had beautiful flowing hair and a British accent, would that make him more?
Nah, he's still a purple grape. Yeah. I don't care about him.
His chin too. The lines in his chin.
What the hell? He looks like a Yeezy.
I hate those things.
I hate them too.
Especially the ones that are like croc looking, like the sandal type one.
No.
Awful.
But what was I gonna say?
Loki's gorgeous. Is that what we're?
Something along those lines, probably. But like Thanos also killed Tony, so like.
Yeah, I mean, I won't equate them totally. I won't say it's like they are the same thing.
They're in a different category of villain.
But he's still a villain. So then you admit that he is a villain. He's selfish.
Really.
He's a punk. Loki's a punk. So then, if he sees the results of his bad behavior, good. Maybe that's how we learn. Maybe that's how we get better.
It was too sad. It made me so sad to see him like that.
Oh, poor Loki. So then, I like the end of this episode. I like when the variant is in this rocks cart. And I like that she is like advanced level where she's able to do the mind control thing, but like almost without even being there. Like she's like off kind of setting off all of these reset charges, which we'll talk about shortly. I'm going to give a shout out to the actors who played the Rocks Cart employees as like she's moving through, and like they do a really good job like playing Loki, but they're still like they appear to be just like these Rocks Cart employees.
Yeah, they did really good.
Yeah, those two actors did a really nice job with that. I like that. And we see that she says to Loki, "This isn't about you." And she sets off. She has been taking the reset charges, which essentially when the TVA go to places to kind of make sure that no one knows that they were ever there. They, reset the timeline there. She's been taking them from each spot, and she ends up setting up this whole thing in the rocks cart where those little portals open. these reset charges go through, and the whole damn timeline is blown up. The sacred timeline is essentially destroyed. And this is what we'll be looking at over our next 4 episodes?
Yeah.
It seems like she just created the multiverse. This is the multiverse, is it not? Like,
no, it's complicated. You gotta watch.
I gotta
the
see
show.
it too. That's fair. I totally get that. The ending of the episode is good, as are almost all these shows we watch this season. Every ending of an episode is good. It leaves you on a cliffhanger. It leaves you on some type of exciting event. So I really like that. However, our big question: do we need this show?
Yes.
Is it doing anything to advance the story of the MCU?
No.
So it's just a standalone to give Loki something?
Yeah.
Because people like Loki?
Yeah.
So then the big question, Rachel, do you like this show or do you like Loki?
I like both of it. I thought the show was actually pretty good. There were certain things that I did not like at all, and I would completely change them if I could.
And are any of those from the first 2 episodes?
No.
Okay, so we'll see them later on. I'll circle back with you once I've watched
I'll be
all of them.
on the last 2, so
we'll be able to
then.
talk about it there. Yeah, that's just my initial reaction. Not that the show was particularly bad. It was entertaining. It's fun. But, like, just that idea of, like, I don't know, is it doing anything here? Like, is it of value? I think if you have this MCU, if you have this universe, then everything should have some type of value to it. Although at the same time, Moon Knight, we've talked about, was very standalone. Like, really has nothing to do with the MCU. Is it in the MCU? I guess it is, isn't it? But anyway, yeah, I don't know if I need this show. And I like Loki. I like Tom Hiddleston. I like the whole thing, but I've yet to be convinced this show is necessary.
I think it could be necessary. I think it will be necessary. You just have to see. I don't remember if they're making a season 2. I think they are.
Okay. Well,
but, I think it's necessary.
Well, I'm looking forward to the next 4 episodes. We'll see where it goes. Another short season. All these shows have been, except for Wanda, 6 episodes. Just kind of you get in, you get out. I think that has been a flaw with some of them. I think like Moon Knight could definitely have been longer. Captain and the Winter Soldier, I don't know if it had to be longer, but for the amount of stuff they packed into it could have been longer.
Yeah, it could have either been longer or they could have cut stuff out.
I would go with cut stuff out from that one, as we've talked about here before. But we'll see. I'm excited. We'll be doing.
Are they making a season 2 for Falcon?
I don't know. I haven't seen that. We'll have to double check that.
Yeah. I haven't been keeping up on everything.
Potentially for the very questionable season 3 of the 27. We shall see. Well, I think we did it, Rachel. Episodes 1 and 2 of Loki in the books. We'll be back next week for 3 and 4. Fawn is next week, so I mean, everyone is so busy. So
if anyone drops out, you got
just
me.
Just throw you right back in.
You just send me an email. I'll be there.
Break glass in case of emergency. Rachel is there, but then you will definitely be back in 2 weeks.
Oh yeah.
On St. Patrick's Day when we talk about Loki, which I guess fits because Loki's like very green.
With Amelia.
Okay, very good. So we'll talk about that later. This is the 27. Find us on Instagram at the 27 THHS, where we just posted the link for the final sale, the final drop of 27 merch. Rachel has her T-shirt on right now.
You got your sweater.
I got my sweat. I debated this. I never called this a sweater. This is
a hoodie.
It's a hoodie. There we go. We got hoodies, and we added long sleeve T-shirts. So same design, but we can get a long sleeve there. What we like about this, Irene and I were talking about it yesterday, even though we are moving into spring, right? A hoodie's always good. Could be cold at the beach if you're out during the summer. Long sleeve as we approach spring is good, and then a T-shirt is always a T-shirt. These are always high-quality items.
Go out to the public and promote the show.
That's it, and then go out and represent the 27. Big thank you to Irene for producing our episodes and our season each and every week. I don't think I told Irene yet. I was approached by The Classic to ask my opinion on Irene as a producer of the 27.
Amazing.
So I responded to that yesterday. We'll see. Sometimes I've been involved in many interviews for The Classic, but it's a high standard. Not everything makes it. So we'll see. So keep a lookout for that. You can find us on The Classic YouTube channel. The last one we have up is the great debate of what's the best franchise, myself and Mr. Gelman talking about that. So you can check that one out. Maybe we'll get our Spider-Man episode up. You can go back and listen to that. Brenna and Evan were on to discuss all the best parts about Spider-Man. So go check that out. And yeah, I think we're good, Rachel. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, always love it here.
Excellent. Well, we will see everyone next week on the 27th. Take care.